Something that I want to briefly talk about today is interpreting the Bible. Now, we all have different biases and cultural norms that impact how we interpret the world, and the same applies to when we read the Bible. Now, some interpretations are going to be more well informed than others when reading the Bible. Now, there are three key words that I want to bring up that I'm going to give the definition of, and you can look into further to do your own research. The first word is hermeneutics. Now, this is the methods of interpretation that people use, especially in light of Scripture. Now, exegesis is critical explanation or interpretation of text, especially when talking about the Bible. And the third word is eisegesis, which is when we read meanings or biases into a text that aren't originally there. Now, this is something that we all do. We all have some kind of eisegesis when reading a text. And when we are aware of this, we can help limit this. When reading the Bible, context is key. It is also important to remember, even with informed interpretations, people can still come to opposing views. Now, one area to look into when interpreting the Bible is genre. What is a genre of what I am currently reading? You wouldn't read Psalms the same way that you would read Genesis or even the Gospel of Matthew. You wouldn't read the letters to Corinth the same way that you would read Revelation. The Bible is a library. It is a collection of books with different genres. They're all meant to be read differently. Another aspect to look at when reading the Bible is intertextuality, which is the relationship between texts, which can include quotes, ideas, images, translations. Now, the Gospels, they have quotes and images from the Old Testament, many from the book of Isaiah. Revelation draws on images from the book of Daniel, Ezekiel, and Isaiah, especially when talking about different beasts, or the four horsemen, and the image of measuring a temple. Another thing to look at when reading a passage is the narrative. Where does the specific passage come when reading before and after the passage? How does it fit within a specific book? Where does it fit within the New or Old Testament and the Bible overall? Context is everything. Another thing to look at is lexical context. Now, I don't expect most people to learn biblical Greek or Hebrew. One thing that people can do is read various translations because of how people translate the Bible. By reading different versions of the Bible, you can get a fuller meaning of what's being read. And another thing with lexical context is that you can look at keywords in the original language using tools such as a lexicon, concordances, an interlinear Bible. Now, you can look at how often a word is used and by whom. And another context to look at when reading the Bible is historical and social context. Who wrote it? Who was the audience? When and where was it written? Historical and social context of the time, and what's mentioned in the text, and how does this impact the text itself? Now, there's so much that I can go into when getting into context, no matter what type of context it is. There's whole PhDs that someone can attain when looking Got so many different types of context. But down below, I will provide some resources that you can use to get started with looking into doing your own exegesis of the Bible.